Hi there, this is a e-commerce microservice written in C# ASP.NET, which is modeled after Eventbrite, and we have titled our microservice Event Bash, and you can see the little name up here. So the goal of this project was to create the first microservice, which is a catalog, which would contain the item of events that would be hosted on this catalog, and create the APIs that you would use for the catalog to deliver information ultimately to the view. And we created three microservices for the first step in this project. The first is the Event Catalog API, and again, that's basically creating the catalog that contains all of the event items within it. We also created a Help and Contact Us microservice and a user microservice that would allow for different tiered user permissions that we hope to combine with token services later on down the line. But the main focus is Event Catalog API for this talk. And so the Event Catalog API, first I'll have you focus on the domains folder. The event item itself represents each individual event item. So it has everything from event's name to its cost, the description, the event address, tickets available, the time and the date that it starts, as well as foreign keys for the other domains. And we created three domains that would create three other tables. One was event category, categories being things like music, seminars, a table called event start date, and event venues. We use the event context class to make use of the Entity Framework Core to create our tables in the database. And the name of our database is events. And this file basically outlines the foreign keys, the location of the foreign keys. And then we used eventseed.cs class for migration. And we, in total, I'll scroll down to event venue. We created 20 different event venues for our event venue table. We created 18 start dates for a start date table, and 6 categories for event category data, and 21 total event items. And then over here, you can see our event database. And so in the events table, which lists all of our data, you can see the 21 event items that we seeded this with. The next thing that we did was create the controller. So there were 2 controllers that we are using. We're not using the values controller, which was default. The first is let me just click out of this, pick controller. Allows you to make an API call to get a pick based on its item ID number. And the second controller that we have is an events controller, which contains the rest of the APIs. And these are basically get calls, HTTP get calls, and model what Cal showed us in class. The first one being a request for a list of items based on the size and the page index. So you can request by default. You will, if you make this request, you can you'll get back a page size of 10 items on page, and it starts at page 0 or the first page. But you can modify those values by passing in the parameters. And then the next API call, get call, is calling for a list of event categories. So this just will list out the categories in the category table, analogous list for event venues. So if you make this call, you'll receive the list of the event venues and event start dates. And then lastly, getting an event item by its ID and all this stuff works. So then the next thing would be to go to Postman. And so the first API that we can test would just be to make a call. Here I've done a page size of 15, page index of 0, click send, and you get your list of items. And if I want to say, how about if I have a page size of just, I don't know, 3, but I want the page index of 3, send, page index, size index, 1, 2, 3, come back. And then the next API that we can test is event venue. So that is event venue. You get a list of your venues, get a list, same for start date. So you can pull from your tables and event category. You also can query for the event items. Get number 7, click send. This returns an event item. And I should show you here, you can also click on the pick, which then routes you over here, and then you can make that get call, and then you get a nice picture of well-matched gentlemen. You can go back to items, that's 7. Oops, item.7. What did I do? It's items. Oh, that's .items.7, and the date is back. So we also made sure that it had to be within the range. Otherwise, it turns out at 400, it's bad at request. Or if you had 77, we don't have that many items, your event wasn't found. So then it returns a 404. So those are all the APIs that we've implemented thus far. However, there are several APIs that we realized we'd like to have. We just ran out of time to create them. The next step would be to create event APIs that return a list of events for a specified venue, for a specified category, or a specified start date. It would also be nice to delete an event that is within the database, as well as create, add an event to the database. We also ran out of time in terms of Dockerizing, so we hope to Dockerize within the next 24 hours, but ran out of time before we decided to do our video shoot. Anyway, we hope you like the project, and thank you very much. All right.